Honest George. For if they did not love him, they feared and respected him. Honest George, or Old George, would always look after them, insisted the veterans who'd marched with him in his 2 astounding campaigns in Scotland. Even when the political situation required them to occupy the most miserable quarters in the middle of winter, when the campaigning season was over and they should have been cosily ensconced in the fortresses of Edinburgh, Inverness, Perth, Inverlochy and Ayr, Honest George would not only share their misery, but surpass them in the demands he made upon them by those he imposed upon himself. But if few could know Monk's mind, most among the horse and foot encamped along the riverside sensed that their presence here, astride the very border between the England that he and his army served and the Scotland it occupied, was of crucial importance. Ever since the death of Oliver Cromwell in September 1658, when his elder son Richard had been proclaimed Lord Protector in his succession, England had been in a state of political ferment. Scotland, under Monk's firm but fair hand, unenthusiastically accepted the news of Richard's elevation. As long as trade continued to prosper and the military garrisons maintained peace, which meant that as long as General Monck and his Council of Commissioners governed with an even-handed administration that levied taxes squarely, and as long as Monk's iron discipline prevailed among his troops, most Scots were content. Those among the Highland clans who had followed the Earls of Glencairn and Middleton in their rebellion in the name of Charles Stuart, the rightful King of Scotland, and who in consequence refused to accept the rule of the Protector's viceroy, had been allowed to enlist in mercenary regiments to serve abroad. Most simply went home. Such a pacification after so ruthless a campaign had been a remarkably enlightened move by Monck. Many of the clan chieftains had come in and made their composition with Monck, and he had accepted their word of honour and left them in peace to make of their remote, mountainous, ancestral lands what they would. Some, like the fearsome Cameron of Lochiel, Sir Ewan Cameron, Ewan Dhu, the wolf slayer, the man who'd reputedly bitten out the throat of an English officer who tried to hold him, was now among Governor Monk's closest friends and advisers, ruling Lochaber in the Lord General's name. But England was a different kettle of fish. Oliver Cromwell's various experiments to rule with a parliament had failed, and the treasury was empty, largely by reason of an expensive war with the Dutch and ongoing hostilities with the Spanish, but also due to the exorbitant cost of army pay, which was, in any case, in arrears. Meanwhile, the English army that he had so brilliantly led, although riven with factions and sectarianism, both religious and political, insisted on the overthrow of the Protectorate and a resumption of the good old cause of English republicanism. The erstwhile members of Parliament, who ranged from radical republicans and sectaries to cavalier royalists, exploited every fissure and schism to promote a resumption of a sovereign parliament in defiance of the army's ambitions. As for Richard Cromwell, he'd proved to be a pleasant fellow, more suited to the green shires from which his daddy had emerged. Richard had been revealed as not being made of the same stuff as the man whose mantle had fallen upon his shoulders, despising his dying father's advice to place his trust in George Monck above all others. 8 months after his assumption of the Protectorate, his attempts to settle a form of parliamentary compromise ruined by the filibustering of militant republicans led chiefly by Sir Arthur Haselrig, he found himself incapable of governing the country and resigned. At the stroke of his pen he had transformed himself from Lord Protector into Tumble-down Dick. In the months of uncertainty and anarchy that followed, only Monck, ruling Scotland from Dalkeith Palace, had seemed the one sure and stable element among the turmoil. And even he'd become a victim of tittle-tattle, innuendo, and outright slander emanating from every corner, being variously accused of nursing a desire to replace Tumbledown Dick as Lord Protector, or of being in secret contact with the exiled Charles Stuart. For his part, Monck, ever the scrupulous professional soldier who owed his loyalty to whomsoever had commissioned him, had held his peace, pledging himself to William Lenthal, the Speaker of the House of Commons, who had signed his commission as Commander-in-Chief. But Monk's principled